Well, welcome everyone to our online program on addiction and recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Centre up here in Powell River, BC. And a lot of people, we've got some feedback from the alumni, and they're struggling with this whole idea of how do you gain meaning in your life? As most of you know, this is the main theme at our treatment center, is this concept of we can understand addiction as a response to a life that lacks personal meaning. And so the solution, obviously, is to figure out how to live a meaningful life. So I thought we'd look at some things the alumni have told us and how they have described finding some meaning in their life. So as a preliminary one, a lot of people with addiction problems have trouble finding meaning. And the main reason is they don't really understand themselves very well. They don't really have a good sense of what's important to them. And the reason why that's so important is because people who do live meaningful lives really have this sophisticated understanding of what's actually important to themselves. For example, anyone who thinks, well, geez, you know, I'll be really happy and fulfilled, and boy, I'll just love it if I have $10 million in the bank. Well, maybe not. I know a lot of people think that way, but we actually have a lot of research that suggests that may not be the greatest way of finding meaning and purpose. In fact, people like Viktor Frankl, the great psychiatrist, would actually say that's not a real value, that's a distraction from what you truly want out of life. Or someone might say, well, geez, the only way I'm going to find meaning in my life is if I become a park ranger. Well, what happens if you don't become a park ranger, right? Then what are you going to do? So you're in big trouble, right? So, but people who do live meaningful lives, whatever they're doing, it doesn't really matter, is that they really have a good sense of what truly is important to them. And the examples that we'll give from the alumni actually reflect that. So it's coming from within the individual person. So one of the alumni told us that fairly recently that he had started volunteering in a hospital. Now, he was part of a 12-step group, and this is in 12-step programs, it's called service work. But the hospital would phone up if they had someone there struggling with an addiction, and they just wanted to talk to someone. So he would pick up the phone and say, okay, I'll be over there in an hour or whatever. And he would spend this time with these people who were really struggling. And he told me that he just found this so rewarding for him. Even though he didn't know these people, they were total strangers, and most of them had other mental health issues going on. But he said when he talked to them, he was actually filled with such gratitude. In fact, he used that word gratitude quite often, which, as most of you know, this is one of the spiritual principles of the 12-step program. And if you've been watching our online program, you know that gratitude is actually got a lot of scientific evidence to back it up, that this is a good quality to develop. Anyway, he described these efforts he had, and he said, I had no idea whether I achieved anything. I had no idea if I'd helped people. But he described it as just so rewarding and fulfilling, and helping him develop this idea of that he was so thankful for the help that other people had given him in his recovery. So that's a pretty good example of something that was fundamentally important to him as a human being. And so he just matched that up with, in this case, volunteer work. Anyway, that's it for this episode, and we'll be back next time with another alumni example of living a meaningful life.